My grandfather looked up, startled. "Kiddo, how come you rolled up in a cab? Where's that silver 535i we put in your name when you turned 21? Before I could open my mouth, my mother floated in from the kitchen, wearing the same bright smile she uses for sponsored posts. "Oh, that belongs to your granddaughter now," she sang, like she was announcing the weather. Grandpa went quiet, the kind of quiet that makes clocks nervous. And what he did after that made something solid click into place inside my chest. My name is Wade. I'm 26, the eldest grandchild, the one who shows up with duct tape, and a level when the rest of the family is still yelling about whose fault the wobble is. If a cousin forgets an anniversary, I'm the one burning gas across the county with a grocery store sheet cake and a Sharpie. I run a little studio out of a leased bay where I hand-letter glass baubles, cardinals with real feather tails, miniature chalets dusted in mica snow, tiny domes that never drip if you cure the silicone right. My fingers usually smell like shellac and cold coffee. I like ruled notebooks, diner brew that tastes like loose change, and the clean hush when a brush stroke lands exactly where I meant it to. People call me even-tempered. Truth is, I'm allergic to scenes. I learned young that a low voice and a quick Venmo can cauterize most family bleeding faster than any shouting match. "That's our Wade," Mom loves to say. Reliable. Saturday was the day the wire snapped. I showed up at my grandparents' place in a rideshare because my arms were full of sample crates for the winter fairs, and because the BMW had quietly emigrated to someone else's driveway. I still had flecks of opal glitter in my bangs from a run of icicles that molt like anxious pigeons. I was halfway up the steps, balancing a carton on my thigh, when Grandpa swung the door in his ancient cardigan and said, warm and puzzled, "Kiddo, how come you rolled up in a cab? Where's that silver 535i we put in your name when you turned 21? I stopped moving. The screen door exhaled behind me. In the hall mirror, I caught a glimpse of myself. Worn flannel, paint under the cuticles, looking like the sort of man who answers every crisis with no worries. Before I could speak, my mother stepped out from the dining room wearing the same bright smile she uses for sponsored posts. "Oh, that belongs to your granddaughter now," she sang, like she was announcing the weather. The living room temperature dropped 10 degrees. My uncle paused mid-chew. The grandfather clock suddenly sounded like a judge clearing his throat. Grandpa didn't move. He studied Mom, then me, then Mom again, the way he sizes up a crooked shelf bracket. "Belongs to whom?" he asked, though he'd heard perfectly. "To Bree," Mom answered. "You know she's hustling. Wade barely drives anyway, he just sits in that shop painting trinkets." She gave a tinkling laugh meant to soften the edges. My uncle huffed on cue. "Mom," I started. My voice cracked like cheap plastic. Bree appeared in the doorway clutching an iced water, ring light still glowing in her pupils. "It's purely practical," she chirped. "I have calls, shoots. You have glue." Grandpa scratched his chin once, the way he does when he's running numbers in his head. He rested a hand on my shoulder, light as a promise. "Come sit, son," he said, and steered me to the table. He didn't yell. He didn't scold. He just unfolded his napkin, and in the same courteous tone he uses with roofers who quote double, began asking questions. I wish I could say I delivered some cinematic comeback. I didn't. I sank into the chair beside him and dug a thumbnail into the corner of a sample box until the corrugation bit back. His first question was gentle. "When exactly did that car become your sister's?" "Dad," Mom warned. "Let the boy answer," Grandpa said. Then he turned to me. The truth crouched behind my teeth like a stray dog. I could feel its ribs. "I don't know," I said. "It just drifted." And that was the ugliest part. It had drifted so many times before. People picture family business like a Hallmark movie. Pine scent, jingle bells, cousins tying raffia bows while cocoa steams. In my family, family business is code for Wade quietly covering whatever hole appears. I started Wade Glassworks at 19 after a temp gig boxing craft kits. First earnings went to a secondhand airbrush with a sticky valve and a crate of clearance ornaments from a bankrupt party supplier. Nights, I watched lettering tutorials on 1.5 times speed. That first December, I stood outside a supermarket turning blue while I painted Harper Jackson, Coach Kim. Names I still remember because those strangers smiled at a kid trying to make the curves perfect. By 21, I had repeat buyers. Teachers ordering 25 stars every November. Newlyweds wanting their bungalow shrunk to 2 inches with the correct chimney. The BMW was Grandpa's doing. He said a craftsman needs dependable transport, marched me past the flashy coupes, and chose a clean used sedan with decent cargo space and fresh tires. He shook the salesman's hand and told him, "This one's for work, not for flexing." He pressed the key into my palm with that quiet pride that means more than any toast. Mom posed for the photo. Later, the smile chilled. Not because she minded me having wheels, she liked anything that could be repurposed. She just preferred to be the one steering. "We keep things fair," she said. Family equity, fair in our house meant. If Wade owns a hammer, it belongs to everybody. If Bree gets a follower bump, it belongs on the family resume. Bree is 22, magnetic, the designated face. Once in 10th grade, she got free activewear for a 30-second clip. You'd have thought she invented electricity. It began small. Bree needed a lift to a brand meetup. Bree needed the sedan just through Sunday. Mom needed the business debit for a quick ad boost, so we all grow. She asked for my logins to handle promo for you. I agreed because saying no felt like dropping a plate in a cathedral. Everyone hears, everyone acts wounded. Then came the first advance. Mom rang while I was sealing a batch of reindeer. Sweetie, your dad's hours got slashed. Could you float the mortgage just till the refund? I did. $1,800 plus the fee. Next month, one-time utilities. Then, we'll settle when Bree lands that skincare deal. The deal never landed, but the chorus stayed the same. We're a team. You're the business owner, Mom reminded me. Write it off. Meanwhile, the BMW began overnighting at Bree's apartment. She posted thirst traps, leaning on my hood like the car manifested from sponsorship heaven. When I asked to borrow it for a weekend fare 2 hours away, she sighed. I have content days booked. You literally work in a storage unit. She said it like she was reading the forecast. When I pushed, Mom exhaled like I'd asked her to donate a kidney. You barely drive. Rideshare is tax deductible. Bree has meetings. So I loaded folding tables into strangers' back seats while drivers side-eyed my glittery crates. I told myself not to be small. I painted my anger into perfect holly berries. I promised myself the Christmas rush would balance the books. The books kept bleeding. Mystery charges bloomed. $249 promoted post bundle. Family visibility. $119 influencer collab boost. $87 here, $63 there. My card was linked to a shared ad account Bree created for efficiency. When I asked, she blinked. Growth doesn't pay for itself. What growth? I said. I'm the one mixing pigments till my neck locks. Don't be stingy, Mom called from the hallway. Your sister is putting eyes on your little hobby. That's priceless. I started a ledger at 2 a.m., breath fogging in the unheated bay because the ceramic heater kept tripping the breaker. Row after row, mortgage wires, utility top-ups, ad packs I never greenlit, fuel for a car warming someone else's garage, inventory mailed free to micro-influencers who never tagged us. Refunds Bree issued on my site because kindness converts. I totaled it twice because the first number felt like fiction. The family chat is named Home Fires, which is hilarious if you're into gallows humor. Mom posted, Thanksgiving catering, everyone chips in $300. Bree is reinvesting in content, so Wade will cover her share plus the car insurance he owes us. I typed and deleted 11 replies. Finally sent, I've covered plenty. I need the sedan returned. Also please remove my card from all ad accounts. Mom fired back instantly, ungrateful. Grandpa bought that car for the family. We decide fair use. Bree heart reacted Mom's message and posted a story captioned Rise and Grind from my driver's seat. Dad sent a thumbs up, his traditional white flag. That week my account dipped negative. Rent auto-debited right after another surprise ad charge cleared. I slept on an army cot in the studio, lulled by the hum of the mini fridge and the smell of linseed oil. I stared at water stains on the ceiling and swore, this ends. 2 days later, Grandpa's dining table. Golden chicken, Parker house rolls, peas swimming in butter that tasted like 1998. He passed me the bowl. So, he said casually, the car, Mom leaped. Dad, don't turn this into drama. Grandpa smiled without warmth. I'm only asking for facts. Bree swirled her straw. It's logistics, Grandpa. He turned to me. And you, son. Logistics? One syllable came out small but sharp. No, it didn't solve anything, but it changed the air. Next morning, Mom added me to a new chat titled Winter Fair Masterplan. Color-coded cells, revenue splits that read like extortion. 60% Bree, brand exposure, 20% family fund bills, 20% Wade, supplies. I stared until my vision swam. There it was, larceny wearing a teamwork sweater. I opened a fresh spreadsheet titled What Was Taken. The final figure stared back like it dared me to blink. That's when the floor tilted and I understood I could be the ATM or the artist. Not both. I phoned Grandpa. I need counsel, I said, voice sounding borrowed. Come over, he answered, no hesitation. He already had a legal pad waiting. He slid a pen across the oak. Write what you gave and what they took. I opened my laptop, turned the screen. Mortgage wires, utility bridges, ad blasts, fuel, insurance, gifted stock, refunded orders. He listened, marking a calm slash for every $100, steady as a heartbeat. When I finished, he studied the page, then me. You've been bankrolling their lives, he said. They wrapped it in the word love so it wouldn't choke you. Something inside me unclenched because someone finally named the animal. He poured coffee. Here's the play. That night, I changed every password, severed every linked device, closed the shared ad account, ordered a new card reader. I drafted a PDF, documentation of transfers, unauthorized charges, and inventory losses. Then I sent one message to both group chats. Attached, receipts totaling $8742.19 in household support, plus unauthorized business spend. Effective immediately, I will no longer subsidize living expenses or marketing. Return the BMW to my studio lot by Friday 5 p.m., or I file with insurance for unauthorized use of a business vehicle. These are my limits. Mom, threatening your mother, disgraceful. Bree, all this over a stupid car, mature. Dad, everyone calm down, I didn't answer. I borrowed Grandpa's pickup, worked till dawn, printed 2 signs. Custom orders, cash card Venmo and family courtesy pricing temporarily paused. Taping the second sign hurt so good it felt like setting a bone. Friday 5:23 p.m., no BMW. 5:26 p.m., I submitted the misuse report and emailed the PDF to the family plus Aunt Claire, paralegal and Grandpa. Subject, business records. My phone exploded. Mom, how dare you air laundry? Bree, you just ruined my shoot schedule. I typed, return the car or next steps proceed. 7:11 p.m., headlights swept the lot. Bree climbed out, flicked the keys like a cigarette butt, avoided my eyes. Tank's near empty, she muttered. I had places. There was a fresh scrape down the rear fender. I photographed it, said nothing. She summoned a ride and vanished. The lot went still except my vinyl banner flapping like cheap applause. I rested my forehead on the cold roof of my own car and shook with everything at once. Then a text from Grandpa, proud doesn't cover it, come tomorrow. I slept maybe 4 hours and set up at the winter market in the dark. December fairs are war zones of forced cheer. Your toes go numb. Your pricing feels criminal. The voice in your head keeps whispering you brought too few star ornaments. But that first weekend, after I drew the line in the concrete, I felt buoyant, like I'd been wearing a rucksack full of bricks and finally noticed. Grandpa appeared at 9 on the dot in his old navy coat. He bought 6 pieces he didn't need, handed me a thermos of burnt diner coffee, and claimed the folding stool behind my table, narrating my brushwork like a sports commentator. Nice tail feather on that cardinal, son. He never mentioned Mom. He didn't have to. By noon, I sold out of paw print baubles. A woman wanted Oliver in red script with a tiny heart. While I painted, my phone vibrated itself hoarse, Mom cycling between guilt trips and rage texts. I silenced the thread and gave Oliver perfect serifs. At 2, Dad drifted up like a ghost who took a wrong turn. Your mom's real upset, he said to the tablecloth. I know, I answered. About the money and everything. I won't discuss it without Grandpa present, I said. My voice didn't waver. I almost didn't recognize it. He nodded once and floated away. By closing, Mom had posted a passive-aggressive Facebook novel about children who forget who wiped their noses and tagged me. One aunt phoned demanding I apologize. Another texted a single purple heart emoji. Sunday morning Grandpa summoned family coffee. Everyone showed because when Grandpa calls, you show. 2 folders waited on the table, my ledger and a slim packet with colored tabs. Mom started hot. Dad, Wade is making this a circus. Bree needed support, he's punishing success. Grandpa raised one palm. We'll begin with arithmetic, he tapped my folder. Wade transferred just under $9,000 to your household this year and absorbed roughly $2,000 in unauthorized business spend. He also lost use of a vehicle I titled to him for work. He looked at Bree. That's conversion, even if you meant no harm. Bree's mouth opened, closed. Mom gave a brittle laugh. Dad, don't throw around lawyer words. This is family. Family, Grandpa said, ought to be the last place you meet a pickpocket. The fridge motor kicked on. Dad examined his shoes. Grandpa turned to me. What do you need, Wade? No speech, just 3 sentences. Stop the charges. Repay on a schedule. Respect my business as mine. Grandpa nodded. Done. He slid the slim packet over. Years ago, I put aside a small fund for family emergencies. After seeing how emergencies get defined, I've redirected it to you for the studio. Enough for a real lease and a second bench. Mom's chair screeched. You're rewarding a tantrum. I'm rewarding labor, Grandpa said, calm as lake ice. And limits. Dad tried the center. Maybe Wade could still help with the mortgage once things settle. No, I said, quiet, certain. I'll bring groceries if you're truly stuck. That's the boundary. Mom jabbed a finger. We raised you. You raised me to be useful, I answered. I'm choosing to be respected. Bree's voice came out small, so I'm just cut off. My engagement. If your brand dies without your brother's wallet, Grandpa said gently, then it was never a brand, it was a subsidy. Bree looked like she might cry, then hated herself for it. Whatever. I'll figure it out. I hope you do, I said, and meant it. No cinematic reconciliation, no teary hugs. I took the folder and went back to work. That week, I signed for a corner unit with windows that open inward for cleaning. I moved benches at night with help from Lewis next door, an ER nurse who waves off cash, and accepted a world's okayest neighbor ornament instead. I hung a crisp vinyl sign, "Ours, custom orders welcome." I posted one silent video, hands only, no face, painting frost on a miniature mailbox. It earned 100 stranger hearts, and one from an account named Harold1951, who definitely had my cousin log in for him just to tap the heart on purpose. Mom pivoted tactics. Could I spot Bree some blank ornaments so she can launch her own line? Number, could Dad borrow the sedan to listen for a tick under the hood? The car now wears a bright red club on the wheel. Dramatic, she sighed. Accurate, I answered. Conversation over. A local weekly ran a short feature on holiday makers. They shot my stained hands because the reporter liked the silver half-moons under my nails. Caption, "Small studio, steady hands." Grandpa cut it out and pinned it under a magnet shaped like a chili pepper. He points at it every visit like it might grow if we stare long enough. Christmas Eve, I closed early and dropped a box of seconds. Smudged roofs, lopsided stars at the senior center. The director teared up. Imperfections are perfect to us. Driving home, I passed my parents' house. Through the window, Bree filmed beside the tree, ring light blazing, smile calibrated. For one heartbeat, I missed a family that never was. Then I kept driving. I had cocoa to brew and a shop to open. January was hushed. Hush is where you finally hear your own pulse. I used the fund to fix the roof leak, install a real vent booth, and hire Jess, a high school junior who labels straighter than I do and informs me when my display gives divorce dad energy, which is apparently both diagnosis and North Star. We laugh more than we should on the clock. Mom still fires occasional flares. Family dinner, bring baubles. I reply, can't, shop hours. True, and also the new language of limits. Sometimes she answers with a thumbs down emoji, sometimes silence. Dad has come in twice, paid cash for vintage lure ornaments labeled 1987 and 1989, stood awkward as a heron. Your grandpa says you did right, he offered. I wrapped the boxes and said good. Bree rebranded in February. Thrift flips, cozy resets, no more craft collabs. She came in once, bought a tiny film camera bauble for a friend, paid full price. We didn't embrace, we didn't argue, we were just customer and shopkeeper. It felt like oxygen. Customers started telling me their own stories while I letter names. A paramedic who stopped bailing her sister out of payday loans. A father who took back the truck his brother used as an airport shuttle. A grandma who quit being the perpetual holiday host. They leave with ribboned boxes and straighter spines, like the ornament carried off something heavier than glass. One slow Tuesday, Grandpa sat in back with the newspaper crossword and said, without raising his eyes, "Honest work is long, but it's clean, better than any spotlight." I kept painting and realized my lungs had forgotten how to brace. Boundaries look cruel to people who feasted at your open vein. They call your no abandonment. They say you forgot who changed your diapers. They dress exploitation in the costume of love. I used to buy the costume, I don't anymore. Saying no didn't shrink my world. It gave it edges I can stand on. I sleep whole nights. I eat over actual plates instead of the trash barrel. I drop imperfect ornaments at the senior center once a month. Jess rants about geometry and curates the playlist. I speak in simple sentences. I'm not able to do that, and I stop explaining like a man defusing a bomb. My relationship with Mom is now correctly sized. She invites, I decline. When money tries to sneak into the conversation, I step around it like dog mess on the sidewalk. Dad flutters between us like a moth choosing bulbs. Bree is building something that stands on its own legs. Good for her. What Grandpa did that quiet afternoon wasn't a rescue. It was witness. He sat beside me while I saved myself. He looked at me like I was already the man doing the hard, ordinary work of drawing a line. That look turned the ground solid again. I used to think love meant paying whatever bill had family scribbled in the memo line. Now I think love looks like a chair pulled up next to you, strong coffee, and space to write what you will and will not carry. Love doesn't spend what was never offered. Love doesn't rebrand theft as affection. I'm Wade. I make fragile things that somehow endure. I will help when I choose, gladly, with open hands. But I will not be anyone's open wallet. I will not be shamed into financing the version of me they found convenient. A quiet donor with paint under his nails. I will not be used again. That is the line. It is drawn in permanent medium. If someone calls that selfish, so be it. I know what endless yes cost me. I prefer what my no has purchased. Time, silence, steady hands, and a life that finally feels like it belongs to me.